Welcome back, guys, to Spurs Live. We are back with Josh and Matt. How are you guys doing?
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah, all good. All good.
All good after that 4-1 victory over Lion City. I mean, I think that was an obvious
5-1.
victory. The what?
5.
5-1.
The 5-1, sorry, the 5-1. I lost count. Sorry. The 5-1 victory. What a great start. 5-1 victory versus Lion City. But just before we get into it, let's say hello to a couple people. Well, to Roman, who's in the chat. So big up yourself for joining. Appreciate it. And now this is the perfect time to ask you guys, as we usually do, just subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's completely free, and just turn that red button to as close as possible to white. I mean, grey in a way. All right, guys. Matt, what is your thoughts on the game? Versus Lion City. It was an obvious win, but I think there's more to it than just a silly old game. So what do you have about that game? What are your thoughts?
So I think there's a few positives. I thought Sarr, Basuma and Maddison in the first half linked. Sorry, that's my dog.
Oh, good.
I think Sarr, Basuma and Maddison linked really well in the first half. I thought they played well. I thought Sarr and Basuma commanded the middle of the pitch. Now, it's against an inferior opposition, but they still did it well. Okay, I thought that was a positive. I thought Kulu looked quite bright. I thought Kulusevski looked relatively bright. But I do think he needs to work on his end product. I feel like that's what he's missing at the moment.
When you mean end product, do you mean the crossing as it's his end product, or do you mean his finishing end product?
Both, to be honest.
Okay.
He had one shot that I remember, which wasn't really close enough.
Yeah.
And his crossing, I mean, he has developed some very good crossing in the past. He's had some great balls which he's put in the past.
Yeah.
I feel like he's maybe lost that a little bit. So, I think he just needs to work on that. But it will come. Like, he's had it before, so I don't see why he's not going to regain it.
Yeah.
I thought Son was off the pace today.
Okay.
I thought Son's passing wasn't fantastic. There was that moment where we broke down the left with Son. Kane was in the middle. All he needed was a nice pass into the middle for Kane to run onto and slot home. And he just massively overhit it. Pretty much, I don't think I saw a decent cross from him the whole game. So I appreciate he's just coming back from injury, so we've got to give him a little bit of leeway, but I think he's off the pace. And I personally right now would start Solomon over Son.
Right. No, I mean with Solomon, you saw him. It's not his natural position of right wing. I think he needs to start on the left-hand side. But Josh, what are your thoughts on this game versus Lion City? I mean, look, for me, when we talk about the attackers, specifically the attackers, it should be no matter who you start, they'll make an impact. But go for it, Josh. What are your thoughts on the game?
It's an easy fixture that we made hard work of initially. I don't think any of us actually. No, I think you, Josh, predicted the clean sheet, but me and Matt definitely didn't predict clean sheets, and it came to fruition. Shock, surprise, caught in transition once again with a cross to the back post. We'll talk about Porro later, but he's someone that really we do talk about his defending a lot. He's been caught out again at the back post, just can't seem to track a runner to save his life. But in general, I thought similar to West Ham. Good possession-based play, controlled most of the game. Decent amount of set pieces, shots. Not that the shooting was great today. I thought it was pretty poor overall. We've recently been a team that takes our chances. We get very few chances, but we convert them. We outperform our XG every season. But it looks like this pre-season that we've struggled a little bit with conversion. Whether that's because we haven't played many fixtures yet, which is a point we've raised in previous videos, that this is only our second game. So the match sharpness isn't quite there, maybe. But we have Brentford in 20 days, so it should be. That's just poor planning from Spurs. But a positive second half. After what was a tough first half, a lot of missed chances, I thought the second half team, especially players of note for me, Lo Celso, brilliant again. Ange, give that boy a start next game. He's earned it. Another goal. Give that boy a start. See what he can do. He's really impressed me. Perisic, again, really impressed me on the left wing today. Some of his little passes, the quality of his crosses. He worked so hard for some loose balls as well that nearly went out of play. And I was just really impressed with his overall play today. So, yeah, a much better second. And Richie. We spoke in our little chat at half time. I said this is an opportunity for Richie, and he took it. Despite, some poor defending for his goals, he took them nonetheless. Hopefully that'll do his confidence the world of good. Well, that last finish was brilliant.
His second goal, right? You look at it and go, it's an awful defensive header, and all he's done is just latched onto it and headed it home.
Got to be there, though.
You look at it and you look at his movement, and he's taken the move, and before the defender headed it, he's taken a left-hand step.
Oh, he's read him like a book
to take that run, and that is sharp play, right? That is like a lot of attackers would have missed that, because when they didn't get the ball initially, they'd have stopped running. But he carried on, and he had to be there to get it. And I thought his third goal, brilliant
finish. I mean. Speaking about that second one, the attitude to chase it down. Yeah, it's an attitude that we didn't see from Harry today, which we mentioned. I don't know what it was, but for me, we spoke about Kane at half time. Obviously, a professional performance from him as always. I don't expect his level to drop despite what's going on off the pitch, but just looked a little disinterested today. And I can understand it's poor opposition, and he might not have been the keenest to play against them, but. It's once again just hanging over our heads, this Kane situation, and it's something that needs to be sorted quickly, because it's starting to wind me up now.
Well, no, we saw. I mean, he had 2 disallowed goals.
2, yeah.
So he had 2 disallowed goals, 3 goals allowed. So he's had the ball in the back of the net 5 times today, which I'm happy with. His one of his disallowed goals, the little acrobatic, got it in.
What he's famous for as well, and when we talk about Richarlison, sorry Matt, quickly, when we talk about Richarlison, is that he's been in his head, he's been saying, okay, yes, I am second to Harry Kane. I'm second to Harry Kane. Josh now goes onto the WhatsApp group, messages, and says, "This is a chance for Richie." In other words, that's what you said.
Yeah.
And I was like, boom, you smashed it. I mean. Richie absolutely smashed it. It's as if he read your message and was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go prove everyone." I mean, we see the Richarlison in instinctive mode, and we've said this previously on videos and live streams that it's as if Richarlison's too eager to get the goal. He's too motivated, and I think now we saw him a little bit more calm. It's not 3 or 4 goals offside, it's 2, so it's a bit of an improvement.
He wasn't snatching at his chances today. That last finish today, he doesn't get that before. He doesn't get that finish. He snatches it, he tries to just hammer it.
Calm. And that's the thing. I think and there was a part in the game, so I'm going over, but there's a part in the game where he took one big volley and just went blasted over, and I was like, okay, let's calm down now, because he was at a time where he was too eager to get the goal. And then at times where he was calm. And when he was calm, it was all good. Now, look, just because it's a classic Tottenham Hotspur live stream, and we're obviously going to have to talk about Harry Kane, let's just get it over with. Josh, I'm going to come to you first with this. Harry Kane's what's the word? Not movement, but body language today in today's game. Personally, I saw a little bit of frustration. Not too sure if it's because of the opposition. Not too sure if it's because he just didn't get the balls he wanted him. Did you notice anything in Harry Kane's game today?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I just, like I said, I don't think it affected his performance much. But, just looking at his face and stuff like that, I'm no body language expert. And, I can't say that I know for sure what's going on with him. But it just looked like his head might have been elsewhere today. Like there was one moment where Kulu just could have easily squared it. ended up striking it straight at the keeper. Kane was open, and usually Kane screams at him for that because he's just got a tap in. But today he just didn't really seem to be that bothered. He just sort of shrugged it off, turned around and walked back. Took his penalty well. Like I said, I still think Kane's, his head's with us. Well, I don't know if it is completely with us, but he put in a shift, but it just looks like his head might be elsewhere. And I think it's definitely hanging over the squad's head.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it also reflects over the squad. We said that already, that it potentially makes Richarlison think, oh, now it's my turn, for the positive, but it also makes the squad be like, oh, let's not pass at him because he's not head on. Matt, what do you think about the whole Harry Kane saga?
It's this whole saga thing that's really, really annoying me. Like, just sort it. I'm not gonna lie, if he's going, just get rid of him. Like, there's no need for him to be part of pre-season. We could see the best of Richarlison. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Can you remember a time where the starting Brazil centre forward doesn't start for his club team?
I know.
That was meant, yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Like, literally, I could not think of a single time. I mean, you've got Brazil, one of the best footballing nations in the world, and their starting centre forward is second choice for his club, which is mental, right? So, look, I think it'd be good to get another player in if Kane goes. But right now, I tell you what, I am far more concerned. I mean, look, there are a lot of issues today in the fact that our finishing, our end of play, but then it is difficult when you're playing against a team that's got 11 behind the ball.
Yeah.
Like, it is tough, and we still managed to get 5 goals. So I can't be too upset.
Yeah.
Maybe after the first half, but it's a game of 2 halves, and after the second half, much better. But the issue I have is the same issue that I've had since the beginning of the transfer window, and it's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
But the defense needs to be sorted. I saw a Twitter post yesterday, and the guy was like, "Oh, it's the middle of our first game. It's the middle of our first game against Brentford. Ben Davies has just made a diagonal pass for the 46th time into the middle of the park. That's been cut out by the opposition, leaving our number 6 to try and cope with 4 onrushing players, with them all out of position."
Exactly what happened today.
And I read it yesterday, and I thought, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Ben Davies. But having read that yesterday, and then today, that was it. It's Davies plays the ball into the middle of the park. It gets cut out in transition. He is then left out of position. And literally, their goal today was Ben Davies playing a 5-yard pass into the middle of the park that got cut out, leaving him out of position, which then allowed them to take the ball on, get a cross in. Porro's not good enough at the moment. But again, like I said it last week, I feel like Porro can do a job for us. But he needs 2 rock-steady centre-backs that he relies on. And then he can do his job. And he covers when he needs to cover, but it's the 2 centre-backs that are commanding the area, not him trying to cut out a cross at the back post.
Technically, that should have been Romero's man. If Davies was back in his position, that should have been Romero's man, and Porro should have been the other side. And
that's exactly the point I'm making. If we have 2 rock-steady centre-backs, then that is then Romero's man and not Porro's, and it's no longer Porro's issue. But instead, we had a centre-back who played a terrible pass. He was out of position. Romero's then tried to go and cover it. Porro's come in. And that's
it all starts with one defender just going out of their line a little bit, or making one little mistake.
But this is the problem. And we didn't see really any attacking football from the Lion City in the second half.
No.
So
nothing.
But the play I saw from our defenders still didn't really instill much confidence in me. I still felt that they were just kind of sideways. I don't know, like they just didn't look comfortable on the ball. So
in general, though, let me just say something. In general, for the centre backs, you've got to remember that, it could be that Ange decides to play part of the second team centre backs in our first team squad. Unfortunately for us, it could be. It could be that maybe Dyer gets into the team. Who knows? It could be potentially Reguilon gets in ahead of Udogie. Who knows? But look, I just want to talk about now a lot of what the comment sections are talking about. Specifically what Roman said regarding Lo Celso. We got here Roman once again. Lo Celso, here we go. And here we go from Jack Palmer. Lo Celso is one of the elephants in the room as well. And I don't know if you guys, just seen, but Ange Postecoglou in his press post-match conference, I can say that, I guess. He said that he wants to keep Giovanni Lo Celso at Tottenham Hotspur. So I'm just going to read quickly what he said. He said, "You don't have to go to Spain, mate. You can just ask me. Yeah, I like Gio. He fits the way we play. I enjoy working with him, and he seems to enjoy working with us." So out of that, people tend to say that Giovanni Lo Celso and Ange Postecoglou, Ange wants to keep Lo Celso. Very quickly, what is your opinions on Lo Celso? Because prior to the preseason, we were all talking about Tanguy Ndombele. Me specifically saying that I would rather have Tanguy Ndombele at the club than Giovanni Lo Celso. But now after preseason, I'm a bit, maybe I want Lo Celso. I mean, all my mates would say, yes, Josh wanted Tanguy Ndombele, not Lo Celso. But now I'm thinking different. Josh, what are your thoughts on Lo Celso? Do you keep him or do we sell him?
Yeah, I mean, it was at the beginning of the season, we did a few videos talking about Lo Celso in those. And yeah, our general, as a group, we sort of said that, we wanted Ndombele to get his chance and that Lo Celso was someone that clearly has talent, but could get us a decent amount of money this season from a sale, with Villa, Barca, Villarreal interested.
How much are we talking? 50?
I think there was rumours it was sort of like that 20-25 region. And now it's one of those where it's, if that was the case, he's been one of our best performers in pre-season, scored in both his cameos, looked bright, looked positive every single time, fits the system. Like honestly, he fits it perfectly, as Ange just said. And now it's at a point where it's like, well, if we get rid of him for 25 and strengthen a rival in Villa, is there any point in that? Are we hurting ourselves more? That can we replace someone like Lo Celso for 25? Do we need a replacement? Especially with Højbjerg leaving, can we afford to let two midfielders go? Especially if we don't know what's going to happen with Ndombele, whether he's going to come back anytime soon, whether he's going to be at a higher level soon, whether he can play particularly high amount of minutes, whether he's up to the intensity. So I think at this point in the window, now that we've, Brentford's in 18, 19 days, I think it's honestly we're better off keeping Lo Celso. If Ange wants him and he's willing to stay, and he wants to be at the club, which wasn't the reports, come at the end of last season. If he changes his mind and he's willing to stay because of Ange, then I'm happy to keep him now.
100%. Matt, do we keep Lo Celso? Or do we cash in on him?
Based on the two games I've watched in the last week or so, keep him.
Yeah.
Like the reality is, I don't personally believe that if we get 25 million for him, we're going to replace him with a better option. So I think we're better off keeping him. And then if Højbjerg goes, we can strengthen in the middle of the park in the 6 or the 8 position rather than the attacking midfield position. Obviously, Ndombele is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Simply because there was talk about, okay, can he come back? Can he improve? Can he fit in under Ange? And then obviously he's then got injured and played no involvement. So there's not really a lot else we can say about Ndombele at the moment. And in all honesty, the more this injury goes on, the more I feel like Ange is just going to be like, Just get rid of him.
Injury prone to it, you saying?
I don't know if he's...
I think he could struggle to get back in now. I think he could really struggle. Because of Lo Celso's form, I think he could and Ndombele is going to really struggle to get back in. I mean, hopefully he works hard and he tries to get back in, but I think he will struggle. And also, when you think about selling Lo Celso now, you look at the alternatives. What are we going to do with the 25 mil? Go towards a Gallagher bid? For Chelsea have just rejected 40 from West Ham, and I think that's too much for Gallagher as it is.
I don't want Gallagher.
Yeah.
No, and then the other option, Alex Scott, which listen, I love Alex Scott, and I'd love to have him at the Lane. He's a Spurs boy through and through anyway, from Bristol City. Bristol were looking for 25 for him, but is he going to come in and have the impact that Lo Celso is going to have this season? Probably not. It's going to take him a while to embed himself and grow into Premier League football. So I just don't think it's worth it at this point.
Well, I mean, okay, so now slightly to move on to, I want to talk about the players in general today. Let's go over a couple of the players, all the players who played today. Some we won't really need to say much about them simply because there's no need. But I've got here the lineup. Hopefully everyone at home can see this as well. So we started a lineup with a quick run through what the lineup was. It was Vicario, Porro, Romero, Davis, Udogie, Pape Matar Sarr, Yves Bissouma, Maddison, Sonny, Kulusevski, and Kane. Now, I'm going to put up a question here, and whoever feels like it can answer this. Now, number one, before we start, I think Lo Celso is going to next game be ahead of Pape Matar Sarr, and also I'm very, very glad that Højbjerg did not start this game, just because I know that personal terms are agreed with Atletico Madrid, like we discussed. And
the only thing is, I'm not sure we can play Maddison and Lo Celso. They're too similar. I think they're too similar, and we need the enforcers like Sarr and Bissouma.
Yeah. Okay. Are you saying like Lo Celso is more attacking and Sarr is more of an aggressive type of player? You could say.
Absolutely. I think Lo Celso and Maddison are interchangeable, but I don't see us playing Lo Celso and Maddison together. The only time I see that happening is us coming up against a weak low block team, potentially Luton, where he's like, we only need one holding midfielder and we'll have two attackers because we just want to pepper them. That's the only time I could really see that happening. But if we're playing against a more organised, better team, then I see us needing Sarr and Bissouma, Bentancur and Bissouma, something like that. So
basically we're saying that Lo Celso and Maddison cannot work together. Look, I'll be interested to see versus Shakhtar Donetsk if Ange does play this. But look, guys, let's quickly go over this lineup. Whoever wants to start, go for it. Name me a couple plays here and just talk to me about this lineup. What were you thinking when Ange put this lineup out? Because you look at the defense and it's changed. In a way, it's similar to defense that we would have seen versus Leicester. But regarding the attack, we saw that Kulusevski, obviously we talked about earlier, his shots were not bang on. Sonny again wasn't amazing. Maddison looked really, really good. Bissouma, wanted to see more of him. Sarr looked phenomenal. I've got to say, Sarr looked amazing. Kane a little bit frustrated. But go for it. Who wants to start?
Well, let's start at the back. Vicario did nothing the entire game, so you can't judge him at all. Like, literally not called into action once that I remember. Porro had an all-rightish game, but his issue is when he's covering in that defensive section at the back of the box, that's his problem. But if we sort our centre-backs out, they're patrolling that area and it's no longer his responsibility, so he can just do his job. Romero, he had an all right game. Again, didn't do much. He was pulled out of position for their goal, but that's because Ben Davies is not a left centre-back. He should not be in that position. He's not a left centre-back. He's not good enough in that position. If you want to play him at left back, which Ange suggested is most likely to be his position if he plays in his team, then so be it. I don't think he's bad in that position, but he is not a centre-back. don't play him there. Udogie, I thought, had a very positive game. He was making so many overlapping runs. He was up in their section of the field all the time. And I thought Udogie had a pretty decent game.
Was he the better one out of the left backs and right backs?
Yeah, I'd probably say so.
Probably.
I'd probably say so. I thought he was very, very positive going forward, but then they didn't offer very much attacking. So we didn't really have to see him playing his left back role that much. He was essentially an auxiliary winger for pretty much the most of the first half, but he did do it very well. As I said earlier, Sarr, Basuma, Maddison, I thought were really good. I thought Sarr and Basuma were fantastic in their positions. I thought Maddison, I tell you what I love about Maddison. He's got that ball that he he plays with the outside of his right boot, the left wing.
Yeah.
Right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But he does it so quickly, right? And this is a problem. In the past, in our midfield, we've taken the ball, we've turned slowly, we've looked for passes. But Maddison takes the ball on the half turn and then outside of his boot, literally one touch outside of his boot, spreads it to the wing. And we've suddenly got a much faster transition. And we talked a couple of weeks ago about that's what we wanted to see from Maddison. That's what we're excited about Maddison bringing to the team. And I thought today he did that perfectly. I thought he was brilliant. Son and Kulusevski. I'm not going to lie. If someone turned around to me and said, we're starting Perisic and Solomon over Son and Kulusevski, I wouldn't be upset right now. I feel they're interchangeable. I feel like we could easily play those players. I thought Perisic had a very strong game. I thought Solomon made some really good runs, got in behind the defence. I thought he did really well. So that's fine. And Kane is Kane. He didn't do much. He did what he could, scored a penalty.
As a striker, as you would want him to do, he was just then. I think what is important to notice about Kane is the fact that he needs to now just be a striker, a clinical striker. Personally, when I talk to my mates about what a striker is, I say a striker needs to be literally like Harry Kane. But when we compare Harry Kane to different players, I say he's the best all-round striker in the world. All-round, he's the best striker in the world. If we're talking about clinical strikers,
I'm not gonna lie.
I say Haaland is over him though.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best passers of the ball in the Premier League. Like, I'm not gonna lie. When he's pinging the ball around, he gives me Paul Scholes vibes.
Mate, I look. When you talk about Harry Kane, you're talking about goals, assists, volleys, headers. Josh, give me something on this lineup. What were you thinking when you saw this lineup? Like, especially that new midfield that I think we discussed about it earlier this week.
Yeah. We said we wanted Sarr to get some minutes and to have a go, and I think it was a good call from Ange. I think he played well. The only disappointment, obviously, in the lineup was Ben Davies at left centre back, but bless him. One, it's just a bit confusing because Ange just said this week that he sees him as a left back, not a centre back. But what does that tell you about the rest of his options and how he feels about the squad in general defensively? If he's decided to play Ben Davies in the centre back role, despite saying he's a left back for him, what does that tell you about his other options?
Well, he's obviously desperate for centre backs because in the media last week he said, "I wish we could get centre backs on Amazon because they'd all be arriving tomorrow."
Yeah.
I was in a press conference though.
But yeah, so I'll have a little run through it. So, like Matt mentioned, Vicario, not a lot to do. Just picked the ball out of his net quite early on, which he'll be disappointed with, but not a lot he could do for that goal. Other than that, off his line quickly a couple of times, looked fine on the ball.
He did have a good flying header, didn't he?
Yeah, we love those Hugo vibes. There's always got to be someone at the lane that can pull one of those out. Porro, I'd say like a below average performance for Porro. Defensively, just seems a bit haphazard. It's just a bit panicky. Whenever he's one-on-one with a player, he doesn't seem to dominate them, or sort of just say, go on, knock the ball past me, I'll beat you for pace anyway, which he can do. He seems to get a bit flustered with his positioning. His awareness in the box, especially for crosses, needs to improve. He seems to have no clue where he should be when the ball comes in from a cross. And he was okay going forwards. Again, him and Doji playing those inverted fullback roles, perfectly serviceable so far. They made a couple nice overlaps, a couple nice balls from set pieces, but a pretty average game from Porro. Romero, he was fine. Not particularly at fault for the goal. Had a couple decent headers from set pieces that didn't quite go his way, but nothing wrong with his performance today. Davies, I'd say probably a 3 or a 4 out of 10 today. Stepped out for their goal, lost the ball in transition, high up the pitch, which is always the risk in this new system. But he couldn't recover. Left everyone else, the rest of the back line sort of scrambled trying to cover for him, which they couldn't do. Put in a nice cross towards the end of the half, but it's still pretty poor from him. You can tell he's not a centre-back. We can't go into the season with him in the back four. Udogie, 5 or 6 out of 10. Like Matt said, some nice overlapping runs. Played high up the pitch for most of the game. Didn't really have to do any defending at all. Couple just, high presses, helping other players to win the ball back, which is something I noticed today. Players working sort of 2s and 3s to win the ball back quickly, which was nice to see. It looks like the press is a lot more organised, which is great. But yeah, okay, cameo from him. Basuma, I don't think he was quite as imposing as he was against West Ham, but he was good today. He was fine.
Yeah.
Sort of 6 out of 10 performance from him. Just kept the game ticking over, kept moving the ball quickly. Worked well with Sarr and Maddison, I thought. But speaking of Sarr, really impressed with his performance for the most part. I thought it was really positive. Unlucky not to score. He hit the crossbar with one of his volleys, which was a nice technique, and a couple of headers and sort of longer range shots that didn't quite go his way, but a positive performance from him. And it was nice to have a bit more of a physical presence in the midfield. Maddison, way better than last week. Massive
100%.
improvement. He was so much sharper. His close control was fantastic. His positioning, his quick balls, like I said, that outside the foot pass down the wing is just beautiful. Honestly, it's a wonderful technique, and he gets us moving so much more quickly. Did exactly what we brought him in to do from a creativity perspective today. Unlucky not to get a goal, really. A few long shots, a couple saves, and just not quite on it. But hopefully that comes with more games played, bit more match sharpness, and that'll, those close chances will convert. But much happier with him today. After a bit of a disappointing and quiet game last week, I'm sure he'll be a lot happier with how he played today. Kulusevski's like probably one of the biggest ones today, because on Twitter, nobody could agree by the looks of it at halftime whether he'd had a good game or a bad game. And I'd say, to summarize it, there were good aspects to his game today and there were bad aspects. In terms of his ball progression, his ball carrying and taking on defenders one-on-one, excellent. That is standard Kulu. He's got this weird style of dribbling because he's so massive. I'm not sure he realizes how strong he is, but he's so massive that he doesn't even need to be quick because he just absolutely bodies everyone that comes near him. Or his close control and dribbling is just brilliant. So he was fantastic in that aspect. But again, something I complained about Kulu in the match preview, his final pass or his final decision in terms of he cuts inside and he does this whipped ball across. And I think his intention is it's a shot, but it can work as a cross if he underhits it. But he never underhits it at the moment. He's just overhitting it constantly. So it's a bit of a pointless maneuver. So
true.
Honestly, that you can tell that's what he's trying, but every time he's smashing it over. And there was a couple chances today in the box where I thought he just took too many touches. He just couldn't pull the trigger. A couple of times, I know Porro got in front of the centre-back at one point, had an easy tap in, couldn't pull it back properly, could have pulled it across to Kane, shot straight at the keeper. So positive in aspects for Kulu today, but I do want to see a marked improvement in his goal output because we're going to need it this season.
I feel like he's a player that's lacked some confidence. Because when you got a player playing with confidence, they seem to be incisive. They seem to know what they're doing at all times, and they're relaxed and calm, and they go and do it. But Kulusevski, like you said, he seems to get into a good position in the box, and then he just kind of seems to panic, and then he takes 2 or 3 touches too many.
It's frustrating because last season, the season he signed for us and the beginning of last season before his injury, I'm convinced he could have played with a blindfold and still picked the right pass. He couldn't make a wrong decision. Honestly, he was fantastic, and he just seems to have lost that since his injury a little bit, whether that's confidence or just sort of a lack of games. But, I hope that improves. Speaking of improvements, Sonny, I thought he was better on the ball. In terms of not his passing, but his dribbling. I thought he looked a lot more comfortable with his dribbling and his one-on-ones today than he had at any point last season.
Yeah, his passing was awful.
But the passing and crossing was abysmal. That ball across the Kane is simple. That's literally just a little pass across the ground, easy. And I've seen him do it a million times. But I don't know what he's doing at the moment. He just keeps smashing everything.
Like isn't that just a lack of quality?
Him and Kulusevski must be doing the same thing, honestly. I don't know what they're doing in training, what sort of drills they're doing, but it must be the same one because he's absolutely smashing everything he touches at the minute. And I can't understand why.
Do you think maybe it's a lack of play time in terms of they haven't played in 2 months?
Yeah, like I said, this is another point. It's a point I keep coming back to. We should have played more games by now, and it's poor from Tottenham that we haven't organised games sooner. And I know that they couldn't do anything about the Leicester one, but maybe look at the weather forecast before you organise a friendly during monsoon season. It's not rocket science, but other teams have played 4 games by the end of last week. West Ham had finished their pre-season basically by the time they played us. They played 4 matches and then they've gone home. We've just played match 2. So that's why I'm trying not to be too critical of players today in terms of their end products and whatnot because they haven't played enough games yet. But a marked improvement on the ball for Sonny. He looked to take on players.
But then Man City played their first game, their first preseason game today.
Yeah, but we can't. We got nothing to do with Man City. Like City can go and not kick a ball until they play us.
But the difference with City is that they're playing the same system with the same manager.
True, not if it's at White Hart Lane. If it's at the Etihad.
They're playing with the same manager, same philosophy, same system that they have been for 5-6 years. We've got a completely new one. We've got so much more work to do than most other teams that we're going to be competing with this season.
Exactly. No,
but to finish off on the starting one, I'll talk about Kane quickly.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like I said, we mentioned it earlier. He was fine, 6. Like despite the goal, I'd say probably a 6 today. Didn't really impose himself too much in the game. Didn't get on the ball loads, but it wasn't really that sort of game. It was a low block, not really much he could do. Obviously, it's Harry Kane. He had 2 players sticking to him most of the time. Took his penalty well. But yeah, he was okay.
In general, though, if you look at the team in general, we can say that there was a positive game. It was a positive game, in my opinion. Look, we've done player ratings. We did a little bit about Lo Celso. We did a little bit about play analysis. I want to talk about some style play. Now, it's very, very broad, but Matt, I'm going to come to you with this question. Now, first of all, let me give a little introduction to what I'm actually trying to get out of this. So, yes, we play a lot of attacking football, but to play attacking football, we need to have an extraordinary strong back line. Coming up to the season, we play Brentford. Josh or Matt, I can't remember who wrote this in the chat, but someone said if we don't get a centre-back by Brentford, we're going to absolutely get smashed. It's not smashed, there's going to be a lot of problems.
Not smashed, but I think it was me. I said we're in trouble. We are in trouble if we don't get
We're in trouble.
I completely agree.
So that's the thing. Now, this is the thing, Matt. If we don't sign a centre-back, I'm not trying to get back to a centre-back. I'm trying to talk about a style play. Do you think our only way to beat Brentford right now is by going on that attack? Is that attack?
No.
Or is there different ways to? I don't know. Is there different ways to beat this Brentford team?
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. If we don't strengthen our defensive line, we do not win against Brentford. Simple as that. And the reason being is I could see us playing attractive, attacking football, having 70% possession again, and I can see us doing that. But the reality is, against Brentford, we are like, if we do not strengthen that back line, we will have 2 or 3 big errors that put us in trouble, that lead to crosses into the box or shots on goal. And the fact is, we could play attractive attacking football, get 1 or 2 goals, but we'll probably concede 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And that's the way I see it. Without strengthening that back line, we do not win against Brentford. Simple as that.
But it's not as if they've got Ivan Toney though. I mean, I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
They didn't need him last season against us.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
We lost at home to them without Ivan Toney.
Yeah. No. So Josh, what do you think? What do you think?
The same. I'm not worried one bit about questioning what style of play or how we're going to play against Brentford. I think it's pretty obvious. Ange has said multiple times he does not sort of allow. He will not change his philosophy for anyone. Every game we go into, he will want to impose our plan rather than sort of adapt to theirs. And obviously, at points in certain teams, we will have to adapt because you can't just impose yourself on everyone. You can't go away to the Etihad and play Ange ball. It's just not possible. You get battered. But against Brentford, I'm almost certain we will have more of the ball. We will spend more time in their half than ours. But I'm equally, as much as I'm certain of that, I'm just as certain that we'll get hit in transition or on the counter 2 or 3 times, and they'll take both of those chances.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where we could double their shots, but I can quite easily see us losing 2-3-1 by dominating the game.
Even without Ivan Toney, they've got some quality players. I mean, the key one is probably Brian Mbomo, right? Fantastic player. And I'm not going to lie, if we make those defensive errors, he will make us pay. He's very true. He's quick. He's direct. He's the perfect guy to play on a counter-attack against a sloppy defense. So, unless we strengthen defensively, we do not win against Brentford. Simple as that.
Let's not take Brentford as slobs. They're rock solid.
They've
just signed Nathan Collins, who's class. Yeah. I would have happily taken him with us.
They have Ben Mee.
Ben Mee was fantastic for them last season. One of the best free transfers of the recent history. Like he was brilliant last season,
right?
Yeah, Ben Mee. Yeah, he was brilliant last year. Yeah. Him and Collins will be fantastic together, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. And that's unfortunately, right? Obviously, we spoke just before we went live, Josh, and you were like, "Oh, exciting game, wasn't it?" And I was a bit kind of meh about it. I was
a bit meh, yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, mate, come on." I'm like, but I'm finding it very difficult to get excited about the Ange. I'm finding it very difficult to get excited about the Ange ball and about our new decisive attacking football, our possession-based play, which is great. But it's very difficult to get excited about that when I've got this horrible shadow hanging over me. And that shadow is Ben Davies at left centre-back.
Yeah.
Or Japhet Tanganga, or Joe Rodon, or Eric Dyer. Like,
take your pick, just as bad as each other.
I'm sorry, but they all just. The fact is, right? You look at the best defenders in the league. Okay, the obvious one is going to be Virgil van Dijk, right?
Okay.
He probably makes one mistake a season. He probably has one mistake a season, like big mistake. I'm not talking about a slightly misplaced pass. I'm talking about one big mistake where he slips and loses the attacker and they score a goal. Okay. Whereas our defenders seem to have won a game.
Yeah.
And that's the big issue. And it needs to be sorted.
I feel like we're being a bit harsh here though, because I mean, I know the centre backs are really, really crucial for us, but for example, for me with Ben Davies in the centre backs, I feel like number one, he's going to be, obviously Ange said he's going to be playing left back, but more specifically, we're getting rid of Davinson Sanchez. We got rid of Clement Lenglet, so all we're left with right now is Eric Dyer, Japhet Tanganga, and Joe Rodon. Now, by the way,
need to go, and we need 3 new centre backs.
All need to go. Correct. All need to go. But yeah, no, you're 100% correct. I'm trying to defend it, but you're 100% correct. All need to go. There isn't much here to say. I mean, if we're talking about the elephant in the room, which is again the centre backs, It's something that I'm surprised that we're the 26th of July and we still haven't replaced anyone yet in terms of centre back spot. And I think, by the way, I think that's the hardest spot to adapt in the pitch, because you look at the likes of Vicario, new. You look at Udogie, he's new. He will be starting with us. He's new. You got Romero, who you need to learn how Romero plays to play well with him. Because because for all we know, Eric Dyer could be. Well, no, actually, no. For all we know, Clement Lenglet could be a decent centre back, but because he's playing next to Romero, he doesn't know how to play. We need to have someone solid next to Romero. Josh, what are you saying? What are you saying regarding what we said regarding
It's just
the
mental. It's honestly just mental. 63 goals. We conceded 63 goals last season, and that was playing defensive football. We're now moving to the halfway line with our defensive line. What do you think is going to happen? We're going to get absolutely burned in the Premier League. Back line. 63 goals, no one in, no one out. It's the exact same group. The exact same group. Oh, bar the addition of Udogie, who comes back on loan. But he's an attacking fullback anyway. But it's mental. It's honestly mental how we've addressed every other problem that was our main sort of issues, except the biggest one, the most obvious one. And now everyone knows we're desperate for centre-backs. So Leverkusen and Wolfsburg are going to absolutely rinse us for both our targets because everyone knows we're desperate for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, rinsing the money for Tottenham Hotspur, we can say that we're doing it. Can we say we're doing it as well for Harry Kane? We can say we're doing it for Harry Kane, because for Bayern Munich, they're desperate for a striker, and they're desperate for Harry Kane. But yeah, that's the difference. We need a centre back. We can go get Tosin, and I won't be surprised if we go get Tosin and if we get another,
stinks of Tosin and Longley, doesn't it? Absolutely it really reeks of Tosin and Longley.
Oh, more than likely.
Look, lads, we're going to end the show here. I just want to get a summary, a quick 2-minute summary from each one regarding the game. So whoever wants to start, floor is yours.
I'll go first, just because I have to duck out.
All good.
I'll say it very quickly. Well, to be honest, I've said everything I need to say. I've said it throughout this thing, and I've said it entirely. The roundup of the game doesn't matter how much beautiful attacking football we play if we're going to concede stupid goals with stupid mistakes. And that until we replace that back line, that is just going to continue happening. So, yes, it was nice playing attacking football. It was nice seeing Ange ball. It was nice seeing the press. And I regularly saw when they got possession, I regularly saw our front three and middle three organising, and one would step off to cover the middle and the other one would then step in to go and press. So we were already covering the second option before we went to press, which I was really impressed by, because last season when we tried to press, the first player would go and press, but they always had an easy out ball and they'd play around us. And we didn't press properly. Whereas now what you're seeing is the second player will step off to cover the press and cover the out ball before the player goes to press, which is obviously a much better way to press. So I'm really impressed by that. I'm really impressed by the possession. I'm really impressed by some of the attacking football. But until we sort that defence, we're
in big trouble. We are in big trouble, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, great having you.
I have to duck out, guys, but
all good.
Take care, and we'll see you soon, boys. Take care, guys.
Have a great one. Good stuff, Matt. So Josh, I mean, give us a little bit of summary. What your thoughts on the game? Summary.
Yeah, summarize. There's positives. A positive game overall in terms of we played well, especially in the second half. Really happy for Richie getting his hat trick. I think that's going to be really important for him going forward. Really happy with Lo Celso's cameo. Nice to see Sarr sort of justify his start today. So there's definitely positives with some of the forwards and midfielders. But ultimately, sort of, there's a couple of shadows hanging over the heads at Tottenham Hotspur at the minute, defensively, and the Harry Kane situation. It's sort of a never-ending circus at Tottenham. I feel bad for Ange because he's just had a sort of trial by fire at Spurs at the minute in terms of every day there's something mental happening at this club. We obviously had the stuff with Joe Lewis, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point coming out. So it's not been an easy one, but we got the job done today, and I'm looking forward to the next fixture. So it was positive.
100%. I think overall we got some positive vibes. Just like Josh said, the Harry Kane is a bit annoying for Ange. The fact that the chairman now is annoying for Ange. The fact that we don't have centre backs is annoying for Ange. The fact that we've only played our second game is annoying for Ange. I mean, Ange has literally had to put up with all this since coming here. To summarise up the game very quickly, in my opinion, Vicario has done nothing. He didn't need to do anything. The defence line, obviously we need defenders. I really don't want to go over that because I think we made it very, very clear defenders are needed. Midfield area, I want to see Lo Celso. I want to see Lo Celso play with Bissouma and Maddison. Although Matt did say he doesn't think Lo Celso and Maddison can play together because they play in the same role, I still want to see them play together. I want to see how it works out. Regarding the philosophy of the game today from Ange, spot on. He did it very well. And very, very quickly, what are your thoughts on Ivan Perisic? Sorry, I really want to get that in there because I think he had an absolute blinder of a game.
I really thought he was a goner before this. But he's played well last week, played well again today. Like those disguise balls, those crosses, the quality of his play was really good today. If he's our backup left winger next season, I mean, it's a bit confusing because we brought in Solomon, which I thought that was his role. But it is what it is. If he stays, fine. If he goes, understandable. It's a huge amount off the wage bill. I'm fine with that 100%. As well.
No, spot on. Nice, quick to the point. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. We are just about to hit 1,120. So, guys, go smash it. Thanks for all the comments today. Big shout outs to the likes of Roman, Jack, and I'm sure there's been many others in there. Next time, go comments. We can give you a little shout out at the end. Josh, hopefully you have a fantastic rest of the day, and it brightens your mood that we've just beaten a fifth tier team, Lion City, with a unbelievable squad.
We won the Tiger Trophy. We won the Tiger Trophy.
And we won a trophy, guys. I don't want to hear anything from you lot. We won a trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching. Come on, you Spurs.